Hello, thanks for tuning in to today's broadcast. I am your host, Cedric, and today I want to talk about the vehicle manufacturing industry, specifically automobile prices. Automobile prices are anywhere from $800 to $1,000 per month. It's recorded that 15% of car owners are paying $1,000 or more on their car note. Let me say that again. I didn't say their mortgage. I said car notes. 15% of people are paying $1,000 or more on just their car note. That's not including insurance. That's not including gas. And so when you look at the landscape of where we are, I'm not saying this to cause fear. I'm not saying this to exaggerate the situation, but what I do recognize is that at the pace we're going, we're going to have to make some changes before we find ourselves in a crisis. A crisis is defined as a dangerous or a very critical situation. It could be pertaining to economics. It could be pertaining to disease. We went through a crisis with the pandemic where, so many people died. People couldn't go to work, lost jobs. We all had to stay in, So it seems like a financial crisis could be on the horizon if things keep going the way they're going. Interest rates are still high. The Fed spoke and they're not going to cut interest rates. And the reason why is because there's so much spending. And I explained in one of my past videos the reason why there's so much spending at the same time that there's so much inflation and prices are getting higher and higher and people are in debt. I did a video on the fact that Americans are in $1.1 trillion worth of debt. So you say, well, if Americans are in so much, now that's just credit card debt, by the way. If Americans are in so much credit card debt, how are we continuing to spend? And the answer is we're still using debt. The credit card debt is how Americans are continuing to spend. And they're not stopping just because they're in debt. And that's where we got to make a change. We've got to, I'm going to make a video on this, but I'm just going to say this. I stopped using my credit cards. I didn't cut them up. Dave says cut them up. I'm not going to cut mine up. But I did stop using them because I recognize the times that we're living in. I recognize the fact that everyone who has credit cards, I'm not going to say everyone, a lot of people who have credit cards are in over their head in credit card debt. And so I had to make a decision to stop using my credit card because I could see the landscape. I see what's going on. And so if I don't want that to be my crisis, then I have to make a decision to stop using my credit card. And I made that decision. And so back to the topic, car loans. And I'm going to make a video on how I stopped using my credit cards, all that. Might be my very next video. But back to the cars. Car prices continue to rise. I mean, when you look at cars out on the market now, you can't get a brand new car for under $28,000. I remember, the last car I bought, when I bought my Mustang, I bought it brand new. And that was back in 2017. And I'll never forget when I bought that car, someone made this statement and it got back to me. They said, he can't afford that car. And well, I could afford the car, because I had a job. I had a side job too, and they said he can't afford that car. Well, I paid that car off a year early, because I was paying extra payments toward it. And so the point is, now that my car has been paid off for, a couple of years now, I decided not to get a new car. I decided to keep that car. It's in good condition, excellent condition. It doesn't give me any problems. It still looks nice. And so I just drive it. I just enjoy the car, right? And so everyone is at different stages of their life. And listen, I'm not criticizing someone if they want to get a car payment. If you want to get a $1,200 car payment and you can afford it, hey, go ahead and do what you do. Because we're all at different stages of our life. And the reason I shared that story with you about what someone said about me is because oftentimes we project our circumstances on other people. Well, I didn't have a big mortgage. That person might have had a big mortgage. That's why they couldn't afford the car that I could afford. But I could easily afford that car. And so I don't want to say that someone can't afford a $1,000 payment, $1,200 payment. I don't know their circumstance. And it's not about it. A lot of times you hear people say this, and I may even say it myself. We talk about what is wise and what is not wise to do. Well, that's easy for us to say. See, I'm 50 years old. And so I've already had the experience of buying a new car. But what about someone who's in their 20s, their 30s, and they've never had a new car, maybe even in their 40s or 50s or whatever, however old they are, and they've never had a new car? Well, that person just wants the experience. And who are we to say that they can't have that experience? Just because it's something that we wouldn't do, just because it might not make financial sense to us. I'm sure when I bought my car, it did not make good financial sense to Dave Ramsey that I went and bought that new car. But I made the decision. It was a great decision to buy that new car. At the time I bought it, it was a blessing from God, that car was. A literal blessing from God. Even though I had a payment on it. That debt did not bring me any sorrow. It brought me a lot of joy being able to drive that car and pay it off, like I say, at least 1 year early. And so everyone's situation is different. But who I specifically speak to are those who want to get out of debt. I want to help you and encourage you to get out of debt, to know that your best days are yet to come and you can control your spending. All you got to do, put your credit cards up. It's not to say you won't ever get to use them again, but until you get all your credit cards paid off and get them down to zero, I will put them up. And this is another decision I made. Look at me. See, I'm going all into my credit card rent. Look, I'll talk about that in my next video, how I got out of credit card debt and my psychology behind putting my credit cards up. And I got a lot more to share with you. But thanks for tuning in to this broadcast. And listen, I hope that everything's going well for you. If you can't afford a new car right now, drive the car that you have. Then save while you're driving that car, right? It feels a lot better having money in savings when you have to make a decision such as buy a car. Maybe you can buy a car cash, a nice car cash, because you got to understand, when someone else has had a car a couple of years and they just want to sell it, it doesn't mean as much to them as it may mean to you. So you may be able to get a good price on a nice used car for cash. Or maybe you can pay half of the car off just like that. Maybe you can get it from a private owner. So listen, there are all kind of options out there, but let's just make wise decisions in the economy that we're living in. All right. Share your comments in the comment section. Remember to subscribe, like, share this video. Be blessed.